Hello everyone, we are today coming to the end of psychoanalytical criticism. We have seen the psychoanalytical theories of Sigmund Freud, his various observations. Now we are coming to Jacques Lacan, in fact, Jacques Lacan. He was a French psychoanalyst. This is his picture, a very influential thinker or philosopher of our era. Just like Sigmund Freud, Jacques Lacan is another important name in psychoanalytic criticism. Uh, Lacan combined the Freudian theories with the linguistic theories of Ferdinand de Saussure. That is the most important point you should remember when you are talking about Lacan. Lacan brought together the Freudian theories of the mind and the Ferdinand Saussure's theories of linguistics together. He observed that unconscious is structured like language. Unconscious is like language. That was his observation. Lacan also reformulated Freud's psychosexual development. Freud had given the process by which an individual develops. Similarly, uh, Lacan has also given a reformulation of it. He divided the development of the child into imaginary state, mirror stage, and the symbolic stage. So it is given in this image. I will explain separately. The first stage of the development of a child before the acquisition of language is called imaginary stage. So that is the period in the life of a child, development of a child before he or she acquires language is called imaginary stage. In this stage, the child does not identify the difference between itself and its mother. So 6 to 18 months of age. So here is the pre-linguistic stage or pre-Oedipal stage. No clear distinction between the subject and the object, that is itself and mother. Difference between self and the external world. The child is not able to identify what is he or she and what is the external world. Nothing is being known in this period. And next stage is mirror stage. I'll come to mirror stage. Mirror stage is actually in between imaginary stage and symbolic stage. Symbolic stage marks the child's entrance into language. This is the period in which the child learns language. In this stage, the child's attention shifts from mother to father. Father is a symbolic representation of laws, language, and power. So this is a period in which the child learns language, and its focus of attention turns from mother to father. So this is the symbolic stage. And then what is mirror stage? In between these stages come the mirror stage. In between the symbolic stage and imaginary stage, in which the child sees itself in the mirror. Now it realizes that it is different from its mother. So this stage is called mirror stage because during this stage the child happens to see itself in the mirror and identifies its identity. It is different from its mother. Another stage is also referred by Lacanian stage, but this is an unattainable stage. The real stage is a stage in which child is completely fulfilled without any need or lack. So this is just a hypothetical stage. It does not exist. So it is also given in this image as well. Mirror stage, the moment when the child learns to identify his or her image in a mirror, so begins a sense of separate self. Then symbolic stage, after the acquisition of language, the loss of the father. The infant subject assimilates inherited system of linguistic differences, identifies male, female, father, son, mother, daughter, etc. So this is the key elements of Lacanian psychoanalysis. Then what does Lacanian psychoanalysis do? What is the modus operandi of Lacanian criticism? Lacanian critics try to identify the presence of Lacanian psychoanalytic elements or phases in a literary work. For example, they try to identify phases like imaginary stage, mirror stage, connection between language and unconscious, etc. from text. As Lacanians view is Lacanian's view is linked with the language. They view literary text as a demonstration of Lacanian views about language and unconscious. You know that our mind has an unconscious mind. Similarly, Lacanian critics tries to say that a book or a literary work, a work of art, has an unconscious. That is, writer uh, some elements unconsciously get into the work without the knowledge of the writer. So that uh, that part can be analyzed. Psychoanalytical critics, especially Lacanian critics, try to find out the unconscious elements in the text. Uh, Edgar Allan Poe's famous story, The Purloined Letter, Kate Chopin's novella, The Awakening, etc., are some of the popular texts analyzed by Lacan. Now we are coming to another contemporary name in psychoanalysis, that is Slavo Zizek. Slavo Zizek. This is Slavo Zizek. Zizek is one of the important contemporary exponents of psychoanalytic criticism. Zizek is influenced by the philosophy of Hegel, politics of Marx, and the psychoanalysis of Lacan. So these are the three main strands of his approach. That is philosophy of Hegel, politics of Marx, and the psychoanalysis of Lacan. His main contribution to psychoanalysis is the exploration of Lacanian notion of fantasy. Fantasy was his core area. Zizek argues that fantasy plays an important or organizing role in the formation of selfhood. Fantasy, imagination, it plays an organizing role in the development of self of a person. In Sublimation of Object of Ideology, the book written by Cisse argues that the reality is fantasy construction, which enables people to mask the real of their desire. So he says that what we say reality is actually a fantasy created by the individual in order to cover up the desire within them. In the book, From Reality to the Real, in the book Reality to the Real, he argues that fantasy is the staging of desire. Fantasy actually is a mode of expression of our secret desires. He considers fantasy as a screen where our desires are projected. So a very good metaphor is given. Just like a movie, fantasy is a screen where our desires are projected. Now, coming to an example, how psychoanalytic criticism works. Example of Freudian psychoanalytic criticism. Hamlet and Oedipus is a very famous book written by Ernest Jones. He applies psychoanalytical theories into the Shakespearean's famous work. Freud himself tried to uh, analyze Hamlet. William Shakespeare's Hamlet is a text that is read with the tools of psychoanalytic criticism. Hamlet's inability to fulfill his revenge is explained in this concept. See, one of Hamlet's inability to fulfill or complete his revenge or his procrastination, that is a word used, procrastination, his inability to fulfill the revenge is said to be his tragic flaw, the mistake in his character which leads to his tragedy. But however, psychoanalysts try to analyze it in a different way. Freud says that Hamlet had Oedipus complex, that is, the secret desire to possess his mother. He himself had unconsciously planned to kill his father and possess her. However, Claudius has done the deed. So, Hamlet is unable to kill Claudius because he feels guilty, because he himself had planned to kill his father in order to possess mother. So, that same deed is done by Claudius. So, he feels guilty to kill mm, uh, Claudius. Ernest Jones, in his book Hamlet and Oedipus 1949, is a very famous book. This is the book. He offers one of the best analysis of the tragedy. So, with this, we come to the end of psychoanalysis. Hope you liked the psychoanalysis. There are many interesting observations and facts as part of uh, psychoanalysis, which will enable us to understand our minds as well. So we are stopping here, and the next class we will move on to a next category. Thank you.